Once upon a time, in the village of Olu, there lived a man called Uzo. He was a poor farmer who owned a hut and 2 plots of land left to him by his late father. His mother had encouraged him to get a wife who would support him in making better decisions, and together they would grow their wealth. Uzo had eyes on this beautiful young woman called Chinasa. He wooed her and she agreed to date him for at least 2 years. If they were compatible, she would marry him. After 2 years, Chinasa saw Uzo as a good man who would care for and love her. She told Uzo that he could come and see her father to perform the traditional rites of marriage. Soon after, they got married and shared the same hut as Uzo's mother. Chinasa had an uncle who lived in the city, and she spoke with him about helping them to relocate. He agreed to give them a place to stay while they figured things out. Uzo was delighted about the idea, and 2 weeks later they were in the city. Chinasa got a cleaning job while Uzo got a job as a gateman in a nearby company. After a few months in the city, Chinasa's salary allowed her to get a smartphone to advertise her small side hustle. Chinasa was a good cook, and she would cook different meals in small quantities and post them online, hoping to find potential customers. One evening, Uzo told Chinasa to cook some food and put it in a disposable plastic plate so that he could take them to his office to see if he could get customers for her. The next day, Chinasa woke up early to prepare 5 plates of her specialty dish, which was Nigerian fried rice and turkey. She packaged them nicely and gave them to her husband. When Uzo got to work, he went into the office and tried to market his wife's business. Some were reluctant to buy as they doubted the quality of the food. However, one of the women bought one to try, and she confirmed that it was tasty. This was how everything was bought. They told Uzo to bring more plates the next day as the food was tasty and convenient to buy from him. Uzo used the opportunity to tell them that his wife had a social media account where she posted some of her delicious foods, so they could talk to his wife and order her food online. This was the beginning of a successful business for the couple. Chinasa cooked more food the next day and it was sold out. This continued for some time, and when she was sure they had enough money, she stopped her cleaning job to focus on cooking. She was now the one carrying the food to the staffs of the company where Uzo worked. Sometimes, during the weekends, some working class people would order bowls of soups to use during their busy schedules. Business was going smoothly, and soon they gathered enough money to rent a shop. Uzo then stopped his gateman job to help his wife in the restaurant. They would get numerous orders daily. Chinasa then talked to her husband about hiring someone to assist them. They put up a signpost and a few people came, and she interviewed them. In the end, she picked 2 girls, MUAH and Chichi, who she thought would be a better fit for the job. With more hands available, Chinasa decided to try out new recipes which people also loved. Money was coming and everything seemed to be going well. Uzo decided to try a business idea he had on his mind for a long time. He always dreamed of having a big fishery business, and although the startup money was not huge, he needed a working space. He told his wife, who was in full support of his idea. She told him not to worry about the working space and that they would use the opportunity to get a land for themselves. She told her husband to find a good piece of land that they could buy. After a few days, Uzo returned to her and explained his findings. Chinasa gave him an ATM card for him to collect the amount he needed for the land. Within a week, the land was bought and everything was put in place, ready for business. Uzo thanked his wife for her support and kindness. The fishes were doing so well, and this gave Uzo a great sense of achievement. Their lives seemed to be going well too, and Chinasa and Uzo decided that it was time to start having kids. A few months later, Chinasa got pregnant, and fortunately, she was pregnant with twins. The doctor told her to rest more because twin pregnancies were considered high risk. Chinasa had to hire another additional person to help in the restaurant since she would no longer be as active as she used to be. Sometimes she would sleep more than usual and even eat more than she was used to. At first, Uzo had no problems with it, but after 7 months, he started to complain about her body size. "Look how fat you have become. Hopefully you will return to your normal shape after this pregnancy," he will often say. Chinasa will laugh it off, saying, "It's okay, my husband. Most pregnant women, especially those carrying twins like me, tend to gain weight." Soon, Chinasa gave birth to their twin girls, Ifunanya and Osinachi, through a cesarean section, commonly known as C-section. The children were a beautiful combination of both parents. After the birth of the twins, Chinasa's mother came to perform the Omugo tradition, where the wife's mother visits her in-laws' house to care for her daughter and her child or children. Usually this lasts around 90 days. Uzo loved his daughters, although he had hoped for male children. One day, while scrolling through social media, he saw a blog post about a woman who had given birth to quadruplets through a normal delivery. He scrunched his face and said, "My lazy wife only had 2, but she had to go through the knife." Soon, Chinasa's mother returned to her husband's house. Uzo would complain about everything. Chinasa would be awake all night caring for the twins while Uzo slept. When they finally fell asleep, Uzo would either demand intimacy or ask Chinasa to make him breakfast and tidy up the house. Sometimes she would comply, and other times she would not. She would often complain about his inconsiderate behavior towards her and the children. Due to this, Uzo stopped coming home, and few times he did, he would nag about the unkept house or how Chinasa had become shapeless. One evening, Uzo left the house to go clubbing, feeling the need to unwind. That's when he met Cindy, a slim, tall and beautiful young woman. They had sex that night, and Uzo asked Cindy to be his girlfriend, exchanging phone numbers. Uzo would spend his free time at Cindy's house, and whenever Chinasa called, he would either turn off his phone or let it ring until she gave up. Cindy noticed Uzo's refusal to answer Chinasa's call, and she asked who the frequent caller was. Uzo told her that it was his wife. "What? You were married and you never told me all this while? Why was she calling you?" Cindy asked angrily. "You know my wife just gave birth, and I think she wants me around. By the way, I'm no longer attracted to her anymore. She's now fat and shapeless, and I feel irritated whenever I'm around her," Uzo replied. "You're such a bad man. Your wife just gave birth, and you rather stay at my house rather than bond with your children. And what do you mean by fat? Most women gain weight when they give birth," Cindy said angrily. "I feel so angry hearing this nonsense coming out from your mouth. Please leave my house and never show your face here again," she told him. Uzo scoffed and left, going to a hotel and making it his new home. It's been months since Chinasa stopped calling, tired of his constant rejection and toxic attitude towards her since she delivered the twins. She focused on herself and her girls. Uzo soon got another girlfriend. They dated for a few months, and Uzo felt the impact greatly, especially on his finances. Asa would demand the latest shoes, clothes, bags, and when she told him she wanted a car, Uzo blocked her. He could no longer afford his hotel bills, so he decided to return home. When he got home, Chinasa gave him the silent treatment for days. Uzo was now the one doing some household chores to please Chinasa and make her forgive him. After weeks of begging, Chinasa accepted. It was as if things had returned to normal. Chinasa and Uzo began to be intimate again. A few days later, Chinasa began to feel itches in her private part, which was unusual. And when she went to the hospital, the doctor told her that she had contracted a sexually transmitted infection. Chinasa thought that she had never had intercourse with any man other than her husband, and then it hit her. She had contracted it from her husband. When she got home, she comforted her husband about it. He apologized and went for treatment as well. And again, Chinasa contracted another infection, going from one hospital to another. She was fed up. She stopped having sex with Uzo before she contracted an incurable disease like AIDS. She called Uzo's mother to caution her son about his recent behavior, and then she said, "Who are you to tell me what I should tell my son? He's a man, and the man is polygamous. Please allow him to have fun, Jare." With this, she ended the call. One morning, Chinasa was doing some cleaning when she saw a paper in an envelope. She was curious to know its content, so she opened it. To her shock, the test results showed that Uzo was HIV positive. She held her mouth as she gasped, realizing that Uzo knew about his condition but didn't tell her. She hurriedly prepared and left the house for the hospital where she ran some tests. It was said that the test results will be available within a few hours. Those few hours were like torture for her, as she was so restless. After a long wait, the result came. Her hands shook as she opened the envelope. She read through it and a smile spread on her face. She was HIV negative. She breathed a sigh of relief. Uzo again tried to force himself on Chinasa, and luckily, one of the babies started crying. She went out as an excuse to check on the child. Uzo lay on the bed, fully naked, waiting for her to come back. She went into the kitchen, boiled some water, and then poured it in the bucket. As she opened the door again, she poured the water on Uzo. He screamed as she locked the door and took her children, leaving the house. Luckily for Uzo, the burn was not so severe. He was able to go to the hospital to receive treatment. All that while, Chinasa did not return home. Uzo packed his bags and left the house. This time, he made sure to carry all his things and even stole some money from Chinasa. She returned after a few days when she heard from her neighbors that Uzo had left the house with his belongings. Then she found out that he had taken some money from her safe. Chinasa then knew the reason why he had come back home in the first place. He needed money, and maybe he had come to share his infection with her. She made a decision never to let him into her space again, even if he begged while rolling himself in mud. He was dangerous for her and the kids. She didn't want to make a fuss about the money he stole. She focused on her self-care and put her effort into loving herself. You cannot give what you don't have. If she cannot love herself, she cannot love her kids the way they deserve. Firstly, she looked for a new apartment to start life afresh. When the children turned a year and 6 months, she put them in daycare to enable her to do some things. She would go to her shop in the morning, take care of things there, and then she would return to the daycare, pick her kids, and then go home. She would bathe them, feed them, and then she would read to them before they slept. She would watch a movie or read a book and meditate before going to bed. Chinasa's life was gradually falling into place. Meanwhile, Uzo was seen in different clubs, partying with girls. That was what he saw as fun. He was no longer consistent in his business, and so he lost most of his customers. One night, he took one of the girls to the hotel room. As he slept, the girl looked around for what she would take. She then discovered Uzo's money stash. She took it all, leaving him with just a little change. When Uzo woke up, he looked for the girl he had slept with the night before, but she was nowhere to be found. Then his subconscious told him to check his money stash. He thought he was dreaming. All his money was gone. "Oh my God, what do I do now?" he said, panicking. At least he had paid in advance for his hotel room. He went to where he had met the girl the night before, but she was no longer there. He even asked people around, and they said they didn't know anyone like that. Then it clicked that maybe she had used a fake name. At this point, he was lost, and only one place was on his mind to go: home. He transported himself with the little money he had to the house he shared with Chinasa. On getting there, he was informed that she had packed out from the apartment. He asked for her whereabouts, but no one knew. Then he was on his way to Chinasa's restaurant. As he got there, he could not believe his eyes. Chinasa had become more beautiful and irresistible. He ran towards her, but she pushed him away. "What are you here for, you shameless man? Maybe you have come to share your disease with me. HIV, to be precise," she said, smiling. "How did you know that?" he said. "You thought I won't find out? I thank God for the day. If not, I would be battling with disease I know nothing of." "Uzo, you have become something else. I don't know what happened to you, and I don't want to know. Please leave and never come back here, or I will call the police on you." "I will tell my father to return your bride price," she said harshly to him. "Please forgive me. Forgive me, my love. I love you, and I love our children. Please, let's solve this together. Please, baby, don't leave me. I need you the most. Please, Chinasa," he said, crying. "An eye for an eye, the same way you left me and our daughters while you hopped from one girl to another. Please leave now," she said, and went into her office. She felt tears streaming down her face. She had thought of a future with Uzo and her children together. But sometimes things don't always go the way we plan, and that's okay. Don't feel guilty for choosing your happiness. Uzo returned to the village to stay with his mother. She saw how her son was getting thinner and thinner with each passing day because he was not getting the treatment for his disease. She cried and called Chinasa, begging for her forgiveness, asking her for help so she could take Uzo to the hospital. Chinasa wanted to refuse, but Uzo was still her children's father, and he had also helped her in the past when she was starting her business. She sent some money to them for his treatment and warned them never to call her again, that she had been generous enough to give him money. If Uzo needed more treatment, he should look for help somewhere else. Uzo spent his remaining days battling with his disease. The morals of this story: when there is money, people's true character tends to show. Childbirth comes with a lot of changes. Men should always appreciate their wives and encourage them. They might not tell you this, but your sweet compliment brightens their day. Cheating is a no-no in marriage. It destroys trust and commitment. Choose yourself. You are always your first priority. Never give someone the power to dictate your life, because one day they might just tell you to walk into the fire. Never stop following your dreams. One day it will shine so bright that others will notice. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Please don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe to our channel. See you in our next one. Bye.